If you're an architect, maybe you are lost by so many tools existing on the market. You don't know on which task you should use AI, where AI is efficient, where it is not efficient. So in this video, I will try to summarize you the state of AI in 2025, which tool to use, what is the main task that you should give to the AI. In this video, I will try to make it simpler for you to start. In this channel, we are talking about AI for architecture. So if you want to get updated and learn how to use AI effectively, please subscribe to this channel. So the first category of AI tool is, of course, AI chatbot, LLM, so large language model. So a large language model is the type of AI that ChatGPT belongs to. So what can be done with it? You can search in the web and document, especially long document, and it's really a shortcut by comparison with using Google or searching by reading the document. The second aspect is brainstorming and finding some technical solutions. So if you have a new project, you could describe this project with ChatGPT or other LLM, and with the help of the LLM, you could go to filter down what are the possibilities. And I find it very useful to have something like this. The third aspect is to write text. So for example, description of project or technical documentation and so on. And this is quite useful also. So I think it's more useful for more technical text where the style doesn't matter so much. And I'm also using it a lot to format some text, to fix some spelling errors, and also to translate in many languages. So now I can write in my own language, translate to English, and the result is nearly perfect to me. The fourth use case is to handle data and to manage some Excel sheet, for example. So in construction, we have many Excel sheets that are often too complex, I think. But LLM can handle it. You could also handle the data from the BIM model, for example. If you want, for example, to fix a discrepancy of data, if you want to enrich the data with some data that are well known, like, for example, I don't know, the acoustic performance of a given material, you could add this data to an existing table. You don't have to search it by hand. Finally, you could also use the AI to write prompt for other AI, or you could use it to write some plugin for example, Revit or other BIM modeling software. And finally, there are many use cases. It's difficult to sum up in a single slide, but I would say AI is a general assistant. So now, anytime I have a problem, if I am on a software where I don't know how to use a given feature, I just make a screenshot of my screen and just ask the LLM to help me. And it could be that in any situation, if I am in a foreign country where I don't know where to go in Japan, for example, I don't know how to read the signalization. I just make a photo and give it to the LLM, and it will help me. So this is really handy. So which LLM to choose? So of course, ChatGPT is still the more famous. There are new features all the time, especially the last month, there was a lot of new features. I'm using the O4 model. There is also the O1 model, which take more time to answer, but is supposed to be more accurate. To me, I don't have a lot of use case for the O1 for now. Then you have Claude, which is done by a competing company, Anthropic, which is very well designed. I like the design of Claude, and also is very good at coding, and also very good at extracting data from Excel sheet. I make a test with ChatGPT and Claude, and ChatGPT was failing on this task to extract the data from an Excel sheet construction quotes, and Anthropic Claude was succeeding at that task. Then you have Gemini from Google. Personally, I don't use it so much, but lately Google started to put Gemini in all part of the Google ecosystem, so in Gmail, in Google Drive, and so on. So I didn't started to explore it. One tool which is made by Google is called Notebook ML, which is powered by Gemini, and I think it's the only tool from the Gemini ecosystem that I am already using. And it allows you to index many documents, up to 300 documents, and to search inside those documents with AI. So Gemini is still, of course, very useful. Then you have 3 open source alternative. So the latest is a Chinese open source DeepSeek, which is as powerful as ChatGPT and also open source. So it's something really new. I cannot say so much about it, but it's cheap. It's free basically when you use it online, and if you use it with the API, it's very cheap. Then you have the more powerful open source AI till now, which was Llama, powered by or made by Meta, so by Facebook, and then a French and European alternative, which is Mistral. So if you are concerned about the privacy of your data, maybe you will be interested by using an open source AI, an open source LLM. So the next topic is the subject of generative design plus AI. So to me, AI is not alone in this field, and generative design already can do a lot of stuff. There is many classical algorithm like genetic algorithm and so on that powered this new tool, and AI adds some more possibility to an existing ecosystem. So basically all what you could do with Grasshopper, for example, are being able to be done with a simpler tool for all architects, or not only the Grasshopper geek. So the first aspect, use case that we can think of is feasibility study. So as an architect, when you start a new building, you need to know what is possible to be built, especially to answer your client and say, okay, I could build this amount of square meter, and you could give some metrics, and maybe it's useful to make a project on that plot, or maybe it's not very interesting for the developer. So this is the goal of the feasibility study. Then you have plan generation. So when you go more into the detail and you want to draw the actual plan of a building. So of course, this is the role of an architect. But if you think about how it is being handled now with developers, where we write code by hand, but we also ask the AI to write the first line of code, and then after we fix this line to make it better. So we can imagine that for architecture it's a bit the same thing, where you could imagine just asking, okay, let's make something like a housing, and after give me 3 type of housing that I can choose from. Or otherwise you could also say, okay, this is my sketch for the housing, and please fix it to be valid for the construction code and so on. So there is many possibilities. It's still early, but we will see that there is already some tools that allow to do that. Massing study, so it's when you think about the building as a whole, and you organize the program of the building in different floor or in different volume. Performance optimization, I think it's a big deal, because architects often are separated from engineers, and when you design a building, you have a great impact on the final performance of the building. And if you want to change it when you make some errors, you need to see what is wrong, what is good. So I think there is a new generation of tools that allow to evaluate the performance of your building in real time. Finally, you have the topic of 3D or BIM generation. So if you start with a prompt to generate a BIM model or to generate some volume, and modeling automation, I think many tasks that are currently done by hand very meticulously in Revit or other BIM software could be automated with AI or with classical automation. So which tool to use to do all that? So one of the tools that I identify, and we already have an interview of Hector co-founder that explain more what is the tool about, is Hector. So Hector is a tool from Norvegia, and it allows to do some feasibility study. So to generate some option where you define the limit of a plot, and then you click on a button, you choose the typology you want, and it generates several options you could choose from. You could compare the option, so that hopefully you could have a better start for your project, and you can answer your client more rapidly at a stage of the project that sometimes you are not paid for. So I think it's quite useful to have this type of tool. Then if you go more in the detail, you have a tool like Finch. So this demo is already old, but you will understand what it do with this demo. Basically, it generates a lot of versions of the plan, the possible plan of the building. So for now, it works mostly for housing. And what it do is that it generates a series of rooms following a given program, so exact surfaces and so on. And it makes some many options of a plan and compare it against a given metric that you choose. So I think it's a very interesting tool. You need to test because maybe it will be useful for you, maybe not. You start from Revit or you start with Rhino, and then you import the basic geometry, and then you use this tool to make the first plan of the building. Then you have Spatio. So also we have an interview of Spatio in this channel. I also included a full demo of Spatio in the AI in AEC training that I will release in the next weeks. So stay tuned. And Spatio is a tool that allows to make some early stage design decisions. So if you start a project, you need to go fast and to have some quick exchange with your client to be able to test the performance of your building. So it is exactly what Spatio is doing. To do some quick iteration of your building, it's easy to change the volumetry. You could also generate the volumetry from the start. You could modify it. You could start it by hand. Everything is possible, and it's a tool which is much more flexible than using Revit or other classical tool for this task. Snaptrude is a bit the same idea, but with a more advanced level of detail. The idea is when you start a project, you need to go fast, but also you need to start from a rough definition of the building and to convert it into detailed BIM objects. And this is possible with Snaptrude. Snaptrude is allowing two-way sync with BIM software like Revit, so it is compatible with Revit. You could start in Snaptrude, import in Revit, then modify it in Revit, and then import it back to Snaptrude. And also, it's online real-time collaboration, which is not possible with Revit. And I think it changed a lot of things, especially when you start the project. You need to be able to share the project to many people so that they give you their opinions, they help you to fix the project for the better. And this is Snaptrude. Finally, an interesting software it's also Speckle. So what Speckle is doing? Speckle is fixing the problem of exchange of data, exchange of geometry between the different type of software that the AEC ecosystem is using. So maybe you are working with an economist who use only Excel and who don't have Revit, but you want to give it your project data not as an export, but as a synchronization of your exact data. So how do it work? In the Boss software, you have a plugin in Revit and in Excel. And when you make a change in the geometry, you could export again and sync it to Excel, and your economist colleague could sync it again, so he has the latest data. So I think it's really a problem that in architecture and construction, the import exchange are not very flexible, very streamlined. Yes, there is a AFC format, but it's not perfect. So Speckle is an open source software with an online viewer to view the geometry of your model. So I think it's really something to be known. If you are an architect, you know that this is a very visual work, and you get some inspiration by drawing, by getting some photo of projects and so on. So with AI, you can get some concept of buildings that are not already built. So you get an idea, you want to test something, you just type a prompt, and with tools like Midjourney, you get some concept ideas. Also, let's say that you are an interior designer, so the project is quite simple, but you need to show the result to your client. You could, of course, draw something in Photoshop or maybe modelize the project that you have in mind, but it takes time. And with AI, you could do some transformation like changing the color, relighting the photo, or changing a furniture. So this is a use case for AI. You could also, if you like to do some hand sketches, it's a really interesting idea that AI can transform the sketch to an actual image that you could show to a client that is very easy to understand for a client. You could also use a 3D base, but this 3D is much simpler than the 3D that you need for a traditional rendering. And you could also use AI not only for generating images, new images, but also to transform your existing images. So it's a bit the same that with LLM like ChatGPT, you can transform text. Here you can transform your image. For example, adding a personage. For example, magnifying the image. So you could start from a low resolution image and create a more resolution image and so on. And finally, you could create some video. So traditionally, doing some architecture video was quite complicated. You need to modelize the building in full detail. And now with AI, you could start only with a single image and write a prompt to make a video for you. So you see, AI is really powerful for images, but which tool to use? So one of the more famous tools is Midjourney. Midjourney is now online. So before it was on a Discord and it was quite complicated to use. Now it's more simple and it's a tool for creative people. So it could be architect, it could be designer, it could be artist. And what I like in Midjourney is the fact that the images are often quite artistic with a style, and it's not difficult to get a style with Midjourney. But for months, it was lacking a bit some tool to get some control on the image. And control is very important for architects. It is changing, but there are more tools that allow more control for now. One of these tools is OpenArt. So OpenArt is using the ecosystem of Stable Diffusion, the more advanced ecosystem of AI model. So it's an open source model used by many tools, and OpenArt is one of them. And I think it's well designed. It's not too complicated, but at the same time, it allows to, for example, to get some what is called control net. So it's the possibility to use a control image, like for example, a 3D map. Sketches, and this is quite important for architects because often we don't use only the prompt, but we use a control image. We could use also a reference image if we want to give the style of the building. Another aspect of OpenArt is that it allows to use all the model of Stable Diffusion ecosystem, and especially the new model like Flux, but also the old one like SDXL, which is the one more used in the Stable Diffusion ecosystem. If you want to have a tool which is powered towards the architect, which describe all the workflows that you can achieve as an architect, you also have Render. So you could think about Render as a kind of tool like OpenArt, but customized only for architects. So with use case like prompt to image, like sketch to image, like 3D to image, and also some possibilities of editing that allow, for example, to select the element of a room, like the walls, the window, and so on, and modify it in one go. So this is an interesting tool for that. Another tool that you need to know is Crea. So Crea is a tool for creative. Its name suggests that allow real-time generation. What is real-time generation? Is that when you prompt, you have a real-time update of the image. So it goes fast, and you could even combine an image, a prompt, and a shape like you see in the screenshot. For example, here you have a square, a blue square, and a blue pink circle, and you can change this circle to create a space. But Crea is a lot of things. There are some modules. So one module is real-time generation, but you have also a module for video, and the approach of Crea for video is quite interesting. You have a module to edit existing images. So I encourage you to test and to see if Crea is a tool for you. Finally, if you want to do everything, you need to know about Confi-UI. So Confi-UI is an interface for Stable Diffusion, which is the more powerful one. So it's an interface that follows the principle of visual programming. So you have some boxes like you see on screen that could be connected together and do the image you want. So you could use the model you want. You could use many different utilities that are available for free in open source. The complexity of Comfy UI is its drawback, but if you start with it, you will soon understand more and more what is possible to do. And now it's getting easier to use because there is a dedicated software that you can download. Before it was not as easy to use. So hopefully the Comfy UI will get easier to use because it's really an awesome tool that allow to do a lot of things, but it takes time to handle the complexity. And finally, we have a tool like Viscom. So what Viscom is doing is the possibility to start from a sketch, for example, to create an image, a 2D image, and then 2D image, and then create a 3D image from this 2D image. It can handle layers, so like in Photoshop. And the idea is that you start from the idea, from the sketch, and very rapidly, thanks to AI, you go to the 3D model and you can import the 3D model in your other software. And finally, if you have created some images, maybe you want to make some video of it. And the most famous tool for that is Runway. So Runway is the platform that is most known for video making with AI. So as an architect, it's used to be complicated to create some video, but now it is no more the case. You just need an image, and with this image, you just add a prompt to animate it, to do some traveling, to add some people walking and so on. At the end, it's a lot of tool, but I hope it's not too much for you and that I made discover you some new tool. So I think it's useful to describe AI in AEC in these three categories. So LLM for assistant to help you make your daily task and work on text basically. AI to generate some plan and to optimize your plan. So it's still an open field, and I think many tools will arrive in this field, and the existing tool will improve. And finally, you need to discover how to use AI to generate images, but because it helps you save time, but more importantly, get more creative with these new possibilities. So if you like this video, please give it a thumb up and subscribe to this channel, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye bye.